Welcome, affiliated listeners, to another special episode of Affiliated, because we have a guest in studio, which means we're going to have a little bit of fun, or I should say a lot of fun, a lot of extra fun, and cover some really amazing stuff. So before we talk to our special guest today and the special bottle of alcohol that we brought for them, I want to introduce my favorite co-host, the one and only.
Is there another co-host?
Well, if there ever is, they will be second to you.
You're automatically the favorite.
Yeah. Thomas McMahon, how are you doing today, Thomas?
I'm doing great. I'm excited you tracked down one of these bottles. I haven't had blended in a long time.
We are joined today by a special guest. We have Jayson Hunter with us today. And I just always like to say, Jayson, just to bring things up, it is spelled slightly differently. We'll get into that a little bit later, why your parents just wanted to take a normal name and add extra letters to it. So
she was a school teacher. That's what I was told.
Gotcha.
She said that's the correct way to spell it. I was like, okay.
All right.
What do
Sounds
I know?
Good. Yeah. I won't mess with your mother, the school teacher.
Exactly.
I was like mentally when I'm typing your name, go like Jayson. Like,
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty much how she just. She goes, it's J Son.
Yeah,
that's how it's supposed to be spelled. I'm like, all right, I don't know.
It is phonetic. It's easy to not. I want to mess
every
it
other
up.
Jason is a Jason.
Yeah, Jason.
They're a Jason.
Correct.
Yeah, you're a Jason. I like it.
I'll be next. Our CTO is a Jason, so I'll be sure to start telling him that. Jason. Yeah.
Tell me
you could do
pronounces his
Sean
name wrong.
spelled a tremendous
Yeah,
amount of
Sean,
ways.
8 billion different ways. So, but today we actually have, we really appreciate you having you here. We're really excited, and to give you guys an idea of what we're going to be talking about, not just alcohol and the way he spells his name, but
Marketing
is
podcast,
some really, really exciting stuff around marketing, particularly for affiliates. If you're looking at a new way to make money long-term, or if you ever thought to yourself, man, I wish I had the arm of content, the quality content, but I just don't necessarily want to create it, but I know it creates some value in my business. We have some really exciting things we're going to be discussing around that today. Before that, we're going to be talking about alcohol. So this is something, I think you're probably the third person we've done this with. As an in-house guest, we know that alcohol is a big part of networking and engaging in our world, and we're about to do a lot of engaging today. So why not highlight it with you being here with some alcohol? And you'd mentioned that you wanted to get into bourbon.
Yes.
And so we actually were able to get one of the rarest bourbons you could find right now with a bottle of Blanton's. And so Blanton's, I know you're kind of in more of the science stuff when you're talking about this, like bourbons are a little bit interesting. And so the reason we did this, you want to get into bourbon tasting, so we should start with one of the best out there. Yeah, we can test it. We'll get
We might as well. I mean, it's right
Thomas, you
there.
want to open it while we talk about it? So, well, Blanton's, one of the big things of this, they've actually been aging in the exact same barrels for well over a century with the exact same process. And so Blanton's, that's one of the reasons it's so rare. Their barrels, not only is it the same way, but they don't directly age it. They monitor their alcohol. So there's not, okay, it's been this time frame.
More people should monitor.
Yeah, they should. Well, they're drinking it. Yeah,
We should monitor our alcohol.
Yeah, so so that's always super interesting, and what especially with bourbons, just like a Scotch, the barrels matter. It gives the different caramelizations, it gives different notes and flavors. Along with the other aspect of bourbon that'll change the flavor is the mash. So mash is what creates all the fermentation, all the beautiful alcohol. 51% of that has to be corn when you're dealing with bourbon, so that's why it's a slightly sweeter whiskey. But then the 49%, you could do whatever you want with. So there's a lot of variety afterwards. You get a lot of different flavors. And then again,
You put a pony on it.
yeah, you can put a pony on
Exactly,
it. And so, but you get to start with one of the best ones. This has been the same. Essentially, think about this. People for the last century have been sipping this the exact same way, tasting the exact
wine
same
glasses,
thing. Out of ClickBank, what makes you click wine glasses?
Yeah.
We will eventually get affiliated glasses. Hold on, just give us some time, guys. So, but with that, we'll say to great marketing and great friends. Let's cheers and try some Blanton's. Oh, that's nice.
It's actually very smooth.
Yeah.
Not like gasoline.
Not like
Not like gasoline, yes.
She was wrong. She was very wrong.
Well, what a great way to start our podcast with a delightful taste of some very good
What
bourbon.
tasting notes are you getting, Jason?
Yes, yes.
Well, it's a little warm on the back end.
I'm sensing, yes. It's a real, it's an earthy warm. You know,
It's an earthy warm.
Yeah, not a
Not
sunburn.
too hot, but I know that's why when you look at those, I'm like, what are these people talking about? Like the caramels. I'm like, I don't know that I smell caramel, but but
I don't. I taste bourbon, but it's very nice bourbon. So.
it's actually very smooth.
What are you noticing, Thomas? What notes do you have? What's stuck in your beer?
It's a caramel.
Caramel.
No, isn't that like the thing everyone says about bourbon?
Yeah.
I can taste.
Yeah.
Caramel. No,
it's caramely, and then you throw a bunch of other adjectives in there with words that don't seem to make sense. Like,
What's the bottle say?
there's definitely a
Does
real
it tell you?
tobacco essence.
I think,
some sort of hickory tobacco.
What's the Runberg? It's an oaky afterbirth. Yeah.
That's Michael Scott.
No, Michael Scott. Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll obviously consume more bourbon as we go. Not too much, but so Jayson, before we get into it, we do have some really exciting things to talk about you, especially since I think I always love talking to people who have businesses that aren't set up the exact same way that we tend to see in the DR space. So before we kind of go into your business, I'd actually love to step back a little bit further into what got you into this industry. So, oftentimes people have lots of interesting stories. And I know you kind of have a background a little bit more of like, I guess the research side of this, or at least the bit more of a content side. So I'd love to hear about that because that's not always what we hear from some of our marketers.
So I'm a dietitian by degree, and way back in the day, as Thomas will say, one of the OGs, 2007-ish.
I don't like the 2007 as an OG time frame because it's not that far away, it feels like. So, but it was.
But for a lot of people in the industry, some of them were still kids.
Yeah.
At that time.
I was a junior in high school.
There you go. Speaking of kids. So I started a company with a few others, and we were there to solve a problem for fitness professionals. So like Mike Geary, when he still had his Truth About Abs ebook here on ClickBank, Rob Poulos, Isabel, all the digital ebook stuff, they wanted something to be able to sell on the back end. And naturally they were saying, hey, my clients are going to GNC. What should I tell them that they should not buy or buy? And so we decided to start our own brand, but put an education component behind it because, again, they didn't have content. They had nothing to promote to these people on the back end. And with me being a dietitian, it was real easy to generate good content, good quality content. And we set it up in a way so that the affiliates could send out that content in newsletters or Facebook, in the early days and whatnot, using an affiliate link. And it was pretty much more evergreen type, nurturing, building that trust. And then it expanded to us being the back end for a lot of these offer owners. So we would be like on Mike's thank you page or Rob's and come up with special offers so that they could then start making some back end income because at the time, all they had was that ebook.
Yeah, no, so that's really amazing. So you started basically, you had all the dietary knowledge. Mm-hmm. You knew how to get supplements, or at least hopefully manufacture supplements, and started creating these curated bundles for people.
Correct.
But it doesn't sound like you're really doing it in an aggressive way. It was more right place, right time, with right product, right?
Well, I mean, we were filling a void, right, for people that wanted to maybe get a little bit of that action or get in on, hey, what else can I offer my client or help them lose weight faster or get healthier easier? So we even had some digital products ourselves of like a meal plan and things like that, because then there was no upsells back then, right? Or very few that got started. But
this was a long time ago.
Did you know the internet existed then?
He only knew a couple websites like Neopets, stuff like that.
RuneScape,
And so, they really had nothing to email them once that ebook was sold, right? Other than unless they came out with a coaching program or things like that. So we provided that solution to where we gave them content that they could always email. So
was the content, were they making it seem like the content was from them directly, or were they showing
no,
this is,
it was
my buddy Jayson,
my partner,
cool,
registered dietitian Jayson Hunter, I've partnered with him or I've teamed with him or he's helped with my other clients and stuff like that. And he has a great article that I want you to share, or an ebook or a free report. And then obviously we would capture those emails, tag them under that affiliate, so that way when they would buy, whether it was on day 1 or day 30, they continue to get those commissions all the time for that.
So I'm going to go back a little bit more. So you're a dietitian by trade, and then you have this connection with all these. Like, where did you get to yourself in this direct response world? Like, I can't imagine Mike was just like, hey, random dietitian, live down the street.
Well, I started as a dietitian and a trainer, strength coach, and I did that for a good number of years. We started selling supplements just like there was like Metagenics and some of these like brands that were created for like doctors and chiropractors and whatnot. We'd have them in the gym and so forth. So that was always my fascination of, the nutrition standpoint of that. And then I teamed with Ryan Lee, who was in the internet marketing space, and, Jim LeBady, and then Sammy, who no one knows. He was our finance guy, but he had nothing to do with the fitness space, fitness industry. He was kind of like the hidden partner. But so we kind of all just teamed together because again, Ryan and Jim were getting questions from others saying, "Hey, what else can I sell, or how can I create?" And I think it was actually Ryan's. I could be wrong. It was actually, I think, his initial idea to start the supplement company, and then I came in as the dietitian and the expert, the voice, and all that stuff.
Nice. That's awesome. So, and obviously worked out really well. I think one thing I wanted to talk a little bit more about too, that I think really loved when you talked about it, is the thank you page, which I think is possibly one of the most underutilized real estate of any offer owner. I bet if we pulled up 10 random thank you pages of top performing ClickBank offers, there's probably very few that actually have an offer or anything on there besides thank you. And the ClickBank requirements we tell them to have. So,
well, and the beauty of that is it's very valuable real estate because everyone sees it.
Can you paint a
to
little
get their
word
product
picture of like what those thank you pages look like?
Yeah, so I mean, we did a lot of different ones over the days. Like I'm going to give you Mike Geary's example. So they would buy his ebook, they'd land on his page to download it, and then below that it would be like, "Hey, do you want to accelerate your results?" Or, you know, my friend again, Jayson Hunter has created this package for us. It's a custom package just for my clients. And with Mike's, we actually had like he did some like cartoon type stuff at the time with some stuff. And so we actually built that into the package and the graphics and whatnot. So again, it was branded pretty much. It was our name, but everything else that they saw on his site was
Right, this is a direct crossover to what you're doing. Okay.
yeah. So, you know, that AdSense, so to speak, was the same, right? And it really would come down to, do you want to accelerate your results or get results faster or get, you know, lower your cholesterol quicker, depending on what product was. And then we would just come up with a package with a special discount to get them in the door, you know, maybe an extra 30% off or something like that.
So I'm clicking on that link in the thank you page, and that's going down.
It's going to go to a custom page that we would build that, again, had similar AdSense.
And that's
with Mike's motto or whatever at the time, you know, that he was doing. Like, again, I can't remember what it was, but it was like a cartoon type figure that he had, but of him.
Yeah, I think I remember this about the Truth Out Abs. Like I've seen some old headers with that before.
And so we would create that landing page with that similar look and everything, and then they would purchase it, and then that way they'd be in our system under his account.
And that's essentially this. So essentially that's the affiliate link for you, is that click over to your page, and you're almost capturing the leads at that point or the customers.
And then since we pay lifetime commissions and don't send out third-party offers to like any leads, say he brings us, that person, anytime they buy, even if they still buy today, you know, 14 years later, he's still getting a commission for it.
Oh, very cool.
And so that was, and we would sometimes do free reports. Sometimes it wasn't an offer, but it was just a free report of, you know, whether it was weight loss or someone's doing like blood sugar, right? We have a blood sugar report. They opt in, and then that email is under their account forever. It's not just a cookie, it's hard-coded.
Gotcha. Okay.
So then that way, again, if they buy on day 1 or they buy on day 30, or day 60 or whatever, that address, that contact info is all connected to that affiliate so that he gets commission or she gets commission.
Are you using a third-party tool to track that? Is that something custom built?
It's something we custom built because back in 2007, there wasn't a lot of bolt-on products. There was no Shopify's, there was no Web Forces, there was no... So it's all been custom built over the years.
Okay.
Without it, which is good and bad because... It's good because you can do whatever you want. There are no restrictions or limitations. We've had affiliates say, well, I want to be able to do this. All right, let me talk to the program. And they're like, yep. Actually, the response I get is, everything's possible. It just takes money. Yeah. I'm like, well, how much money?
Yeah.
Gosh, I can't remember who the person was that said, oh, it's a Paul Hoffman. I could do anything if the deal's right? I can do anything you want as long as the deal's right. So pay me enough money and we'll make it happen, right?
And that's pretty much how programmers are. Yeah. Like they'll do anything, you know, because again, it's the sky's the limit when you don't have the restrictions of a third-party application or a bolt-on.
Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. So I want to talk more about the lifetime commission thing. I think that's super interesting. And obviously there's some things you have to do to pull that off. But before that, I just kind of want to talk a little bit more about the thank you page specifically. Because one thing that I really love about what you said is you found a way to get acquisition traffic without giving yourself the burden of going out and being an acquirer, right? Like I have to acquire other affiliates, this and this and this, and manage some form of acquisition, where you found people that are amazing at it. They are acquisition all-stars. And you're amazing at this skill. Yeah. So why don't I just go to where they've already acquired the customer? We know we're at a peak inflection point of buying behavior. I am most likely at my top peak of hope, everything's good, and now offering a product. It's really getting a customer at the best possible time with a much easier burden of
It's almost
acquisition.
inserting yourself as an upsell without being like a one-click upsell.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah. Even a less aggressive form of that
Yeah.
upsell, because sometimes that could feel invasive. But on a thank you page, when feelings and emotions are high and you're excited for whatever you're going to get, and now
And with
an
a health
acceleration,
offer,
yeah.
with me as a dietitian, now there's instant credibility
Yep.
and some level of trust that this is also going to help me.
Yeah. Because I imagine if it's like, with a health offer, I'm doing this to be excited about my next conversation with the doctor. And so there's now a licensed medical professional that's like, hey, I'm going to help you get there. So your doctor's really going to be stoked, right?
Yeah.
It just really transitions very nicely. And I think it's, I just bring it up because I don't think enough people think about that type of strategy. Where in my business can I be the best positioned for when the customer should be talking to me? Which e-com brands, that's all they do.
Yeah.
They spend all their time trying to be in that moment in time. And it's like, you guys started there, which is just super awesome, super smart. And again, I just kind of more, not necessarily like a question, more just like a discussion, because I think it's really important to carve out and point that out. Because I guess, were there any other deals like that you did in your business where you kind of find yourself positioning yourself in kind of like the ideal stream for a customer?
I mean, like you said, we've just done it from the beginning, and the industry has shifted, obviously.
Yeah.
In regards to, there's a lot more, some people call it churn and burn. I want that money, and then I just go on to the next person type of thing. But if you look at long-term growth or long-term revenue, and like Mike and I have had that conversation where he understands that back end and is willing to wait because you end up making more money in the end with that. You get more repeat business and whatnot. So we've always just done that where we've tried to be someone's back end solution and been flexible with being able to, sometimes it's a thank you page, sometimes it's in an autoresponder, sometimes it's a free product, not forced continuity, but just here's a free product, all you have to do is pay for shipping. Again, it puts that customer now into our system under that affiliate.
Yeah, so that's kind of perfect transition then. So I think one thing that's really interesting too that you're doing is oftentimes we're selling a bounty for a single transaction, right? Like with affiliate game, it's acquire one customer and I'll pay you. But that's not the game you're playing. You're putting yourself in a more back-end process, and then it's that lifetime commissions. That really unlocks, like you said, a back-end e-com LTV mentality to a front-end direct response acquisition heavy business. It really seemed like a nice blend. So, but it seems like what unlocked it was that lifetime commissions.
Correct.
So I guess kind of going through this a little bit more, I think just talking through a little bit more, walking through kind of excruciating details. So you get a lead, you get a
Exciting
buyer.
detail.
Yeah, like how do you go about making sure that they get that lifetime commission, and like what does that look like? And and even if you could, this might be a pretty. I have a follow-up question after you explain that. So yeah.
So pretty much how we do it is we use subdomains. So essentially it's a replicated website. So you have our website. If you went to www.jlabpro.com, you'd see the website. If you put in thomas.jlabpro.com, you'd see the same thing.
Gotcha. Okay.
It's all being tracked from that subdomain. So it doesn't matter where they click at that point. It's all under that subdomain. So they can go to articles, they can go to product pages, they could go to the checkout cart and come back to an article. It doesn't matter. As long as that session has your subdomain in it, it's being followed. So it's not cookie based. It's not going to expire. And then once that customer comes in, whether they come in as a prospect on a free lead or they come in as a customer, they're hard coded under your affiliate account with that subdomain. So say someone buys and 3 months later, they're like, oh yeah, I really liked that product. I ran out. I'm going to go buy some more. What was that name? Jayson, whatever. And they Google us and they find the www version, right?
Right. The not subdomain, just your
Correct.
domain. Yeah.
Correct. When they go to buy, we obviously already know the person's name, the email address, and the address, right? So when they put in any of that information, oh, that person is under Thomas's account. He gets the credit for that commission every single time. And we didn't know it at the time, but I mean, essentially, if you look at what people are doing now with list splintering and list duplicating, that's what we were doing back in 2008 and 2009 with
That's with your site, yeah.
with the fact of people were sharing their leads with us, right? Mike would essentially send us leads through free reports or some offer on his thank you page. And then we would work on optimizing those people from a supplement standpoint or a nutrition standpoint, but it was still also his lead. right? He could still do whatever he wanted with it. We never send out any outside offers. It's because we have so much content we can mail every single day.
That makes
And
sense.
so we always have something we can send of value to someone. And now it's just every time Mike has an opportunity or an affiliate to make money from us. With that.
What is like the commission structure like with this? Because I imagine it's not, 70% of the cart value. If
No,
you're
it's
doing
30%.
lifetime. Okay.
And we've done with certain people where it's like sometimes 50% on the front end, to get them in and help them, I guess ROI, right? If they're to send something out, and then that's the 30% recurring.
So lifetime 30%. That's pretty generous still
Yeah.
for 30% lifetime. Okay. So any customer that comes, or if I send a customer any purchase they make, I'm making 30% of that.
Yep.
in
Whether you ever advertise or
Opportunity,
marketed for us ever again. So Mike and I joke about this because I was digging through his account one day and I was like, I wonder how old some of his customers are. And I found one from 2009 and she still was buying monthly auto ship, our whole food-based multivitamin.
Yeah.
So she had like 109 at the time. She had like 192 transactions in her account, and he was
Mike was
getting a
making 30% of
commission
all that.
every single time. Because I was like, "Hey, Mike, you know who this person is? You still have their email on your list?" And of course, we just laughed because we're like, "There's no way he has this email on his list still."
Yeah.
But he was still getting paid for it.
That's cool. I like that too, because I think so many sellers focus, and affiliates too, right? I want as much money as I can get today, right? Because of the costs I need to cover and things like that. And that's probably true for a lot of people in their business right now. But if you can't afford to look at the long term, it can really unlock a lot of cash flow. Right?
Yeah.
You get this like mailbox money almost coming in at that point. And I like the psychological aspect of it, right? If I'm an affiliate and I sent a month ago, a year ago for you, all of a sudden I see commission pinging from you that time later and I haven't done anything, it's like that constant reminder that I could send again on a very
Or
passive,
is there other ways we can work in? Like, even if it is, hey, again, with this whole list splintering thing, well, why don't you just put a free report in one of your first few autoresponders when a customer comes in or on a thank you page? And again, splinter right away. And now you're potentially making, twice as much money or 50% more money or, 20, and you're not really doing anything to do it.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say too, I think one of the things that is huge is it allows your business to be a lot more stable through the ebbs and flows.
Yes.
Because that you think that consumer, if you build up, it's not going to be all your consumers, right? It's a percentage. We're talking a percentage. But if you acquire a lot over years and years and years because you just know how to acquire, and now they're getting put into something that is going to extract truly passive income for you. Like it's just going to passively continue to be there. Now, when something happens like
Or your
iOS,
front end offer gets tired.
yeah,
right, or
your
fatigued.
front end offer gets tired. iOS 14 comes in, all of a sudden your acquisition goes way down, right? Oh, sorry, I flail around, guys, but it starts going way down. So like, understanding that and knowing that you could create a smoothing process, right? Your cash is not this. Your cash has a kind of just a steady mark going through.
Well,
it changes your business and how fast you have to move.
So we do auto ship as well as non-auto ship products. And I can tell you there's been numerous times that it's probably saved us because front end sales were down or whatever. And we still had auto ships transacting every single morning. And so it's like, well, at least I got some money coming in, right?
Yeah.
So it's one of those that I think's hugely valuable. If you, not that whole front end ROI is not important, but there's a big potential on the back end from a long-term standpoint.
And then so if I'm sending leads and customers to you as an affiliate, is it kind of like a first cookie win sense where it's like if I send you an email that is in your system, then Kyle sends you that same email?
Yeah, it is kind of like because that email is going to be hard coded under his first.
Gotcha.
So it does kind of prevent those that say, "Oh, I'm going to wait till the end of a promo and then try to mail right at the end to grab that cookie or what." It's whoever did it first. That's theirs. Yep.
No sandbagging here.
So there is benefit though to take advantage of that if you know that maybe a lot of people on your list are also on someone else's list. The more you can push in, they're yours.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Before that other person does, right?
Yeah.
So
I remember like Organifi for years, they had 3 options for affiliates to choose their commission. Basically, you get a one-time payment up front where it's like a bigger, I can't remember at the time, it was like 40 or 50%. This is before commissions became what they are now. So I think it was 50%. They could get a smaller amount of recurring, if customers bought any recurring from that purchase. I think it was like 50% with X% recurring or something, or 30%. And then they could choose lifetime, kind of what you're describing, where it's just like carte blanche if they buy anything from us. But I think they only got like 20 to 30% of that of the initial 2. So basically, like, if you want all the money now, you can have all the money now, right? Air quotes all the money. Or if you want,
and then we take all the back end.
Less money now, more money longer, right? Because they're going to rebuy and they're going to redo that. And we found a lot of like the email affiliates really like that lifetime model, who wanted to play in that way, because it's like, wow, okay, this is great.
Yeah,
it's a good brand. Like, you have a great.
Well, and you're diversifying. You know, you're not putting all your eggs in one basket of, is that send going to work? Because if it bombs, well, crap. You know, now I got to get another one that works. Or
you do have to get out of the mindset of, what are my stats today, right, on this send? Because the money will be less, because you're only getting, let's say, 30 versus 70 or something.
Yeah.
But next month.
And then it starts to compound
that.
at that point, right? Because again, you bring in, let's say you bring in 20 customers this month, and you get your 30 or 50% or whatever we did on the front end. And then typically, I would say 20% of those people are going to be auto ship. Okay. So let's just say there's 5, right? Well, then you do another 20 customers the next month, but 5 of those, now it's 25.
Right.
Then it's 30, and then it's 30, 40. And then, it starts to compound to where all of a sudden that commission really starts adding up.
Do you find you have to convince affiliates with showing them, like, here's our average auto ship rate, here's our average rebuy rate?
It's hard for people to understand that long term.
Yeah.
Because again, I think a lot of people's mindset is, I need to be paid today. And then they just move on. So
how do you overcome that? Like, what are your conversations? Because I'd even think for media buyers, it could be really beneficial. Because imagine starting your day positive before you even spent a penny.
Yeah.
Because that's essentially what it could do for you. That'd be pretty awesome. But obviously, you might have to accept a less margin on the front. But in general, like, what's kind of the conversations you have with affiliates?
I mean, a lot of times I'll show them, the different scenarios, but it's talking through it and getting them to understand that there's a lot of money on the table on the back end. That doesn't necessarily have to disrupt their front end.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's the other big thing, is they don't want to take away from what they're currently doing on the front end and make less money. So we come up with, well, what if we did, again, an autoresponder or a thank you page thing that's not going to affect anything you do on the front end? We're only essentially bolting on a revenue option on the back end.
So I think to build off that a little bit, because I think one thing we were talking about earlier, before the podcast, that got me really interested is the idea of, because you have so much content, because they have the dedicated sublinks where you could really almost start using content emails or content sequences that are going to keep your list feeling like, oh, they're getting good content. But you don't have to write it, and then know there's actually a monetization goal in the back end. Because I imagine even the content that you have, the blog posts, like, they're going to have some form of CTA, or at least something that will look like
there's
a CTA.
Always,
it's like it's not to say that it's like just, all right, we said something nice, go away. There's something tied
in every
to it.
single article, recipe, or video, there's some type of evergreen call to action on our content.
But it's since it's still so content heavy in its content, like, it's something where you could really build a nice kind of buffer in your audience, keep them groomed, keep them happy, keep giving them value, and taking advantage of some of those things. Sometimes it's hard, like writing blogs. I know you think you could chat GBT it up, but it's never good. It's just at this point, it's not going to be as good as what you would have, or what real creators going to have.
Yeah. So how does that? So if I'm a new relationship for you, and I've got, my burgeoning health business that's going, and I've got my offer. I don't have a blog or a domain or any of that kind of stuff. I just got my offer, front end transactions rolling through. How can I start to leverage what Kyle's describing?
So, like, I was going to use the example of like Upsender and like Ryan Healy and Justin, is to keep their lists engaged that they manage and whatnot. They usually put some type of, I think they call it the sandwich method, where it's like a article, offer in the middle, and maybe another article or a recipe, right? And they were in
the body of the email.
In the body of the email, right? So again, you're giving that person some type of value, so they don't feel like they're always just being sold every single day. They were always finding like PLL articles, or they're having to write stuff themselves and things like that. So I was like, hey, I got the solution for you. Again, since I don't show any third-party outside offers to leads like you bring me as an affiliate, it's no different than you doing a PLR, except you don't have to find the information. You don't have to put it up on a blog, and you have potential to make money. Because they even talked about, even if they sent to someone else's blog because they couldn't find anything, well, over time, that email probably got scraped or jacked from that person in some shape or form. Well, if they take action on our site, now that email's under his account still, right? For him to make commissions.
So they're kind of almost getting the advantage of having a large e-com / article site
without doing any of the work.
They just use yours for the subdomain.
And so I created a huge document of articles that I said, hey, these all engage well, or different nice topics, range of stuff, recipes, videos, and they just go in and put, and then they'll write a little blurb themselves. But I've had other people where I'll write, a teaser with a click.
Gotcha.
But a lot of them, they just do it themselves. But he has all his affiliates, so he can just go, that looks like, I think they sent a peanut butter article right when they first got started. It was like, what you don't know about peanut butter, or everything you need to know about peanut butter type of thing. And someone ended up opting into the free report that was on that page. And here's the beauty of it is the person was having trouble ordering. They ended up calling customer service, talking. We figured out that where they were buying it from, and he still got the credit for it.
Nice.
So we, because they're like, I got an email or something. So our customer service naturally went to our email CRM. No, it was because they opted in.
Oh, right.
And we're like, well, we know who brought this in.
Who you opted in from. Yeah.
And because the tracking, he was like, well, did I do something wrong with my track? I said, no, you didn't. I said, actually, it was like 3 layers deep.
Right.
But you still got the credit for it because we were able to, per the conversation with this customer, we figured out that she came from you.
Oh, that's cool.
And it was through we went and found her email in our CRM and said, that's Ryan's subdomain. And then
and to be clear, so they're not sending it like it's their content. They're still teeing it up like, hey, our friend Jason, right, Dr. J.
Usually, hey, here's an interesting article that you might find, and it's just more of a general. Because again, a lot of times it's like just a blurb or something saying, hey, did you know that 8 things you probably didn't know about peanut butter, right? And then here's the link below or something, right?
I'm so curious about the things I don't know about peanut butter. I feel like I've eaten enough to know everything, but
you have to read the article.
No, I was going to say, I really love that though, because I think a lot of people probably would love to not have to be so aggressive with their list, but knowing, like you said, that sometimes that content, that sandwich method or creating that is just, it's hard. It's harder than we want it to be. We want it to be so easy, but it's not.
Well, how many listeners right now, with like 90% of their list is copied email swipes from affiliate pages, right?
Yeah. Like, I was just going to say, they don't want to take the time to do the work.
Yeah.
It's not like it's hard, but it takes time.
It does take time.
It takes time, and time is money a lot of times.
Yeah. So. Well, and I guess that's what I was going to say. Like, it's not like we're doing rocket science, but it's never going to be as fast as copy and paste until now, right? So you really provide not a full copy and paste solution, but one that is almost that simple with a better monetary back end that would be really, really challenging for anybody to just snap their fingers in half. So it makes so much sense to keep your audience, your list cleaner, healthier, happier without having to sacrifice, commissions.
Well, and in today's world where it's getting tougher to get opens and clicks and conversions, you kind of have to have a fallback plan. Or something else that can go where you're working A and B at the same time. And
I think one of the reasons you're seeing clicks and opens become so challenging is because content has gotten so much better. So, there was a couple years, email's dead is always a thing, but it's actually gone the complete reverse of that. There are so many more people that get daily newsletters. They use their email as some sort of consolidation. They're listening to people through that medium in ways that I think even like 6 years ago we weren't. So the competition on clicks and opens is way more than it used to be. So you need content. I really think you need content to keep your audience looking at you as valuable.
Correct.
Giving them value. They trust you. They're going to open more, buy more, and feel happier with you.
Well, and that's like to your comment earlier about do they use my name when they're doing like that would be an advantage in that situation, right? Where, they have this dietitian that's always sharing articles I like to read or recipes or whatever. So again, I'm going to keep on Thomas's list because he has this dietitian, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, they don't know that it's really a virtual thing, and we're not actual employees, or so to speak. But it's value to that person.
That makes a ton of sense.
It's value to what you just bought too, right? Whatever you're doing to say that it has that science backing already, I'm like, ooh, okay. Because we forget that one of the biggest things that we don't want to do to customers is make them feel stupid after they buy. Yeah. And so that's a great way to not make them feel stupid. Yeah. So anyway, sorry.
I was going to go a different direction a little bit. I was curious because you've got some offers that have started on ClickBank in the last few months.
Mm-hmm.
How is that working with your lifetime stuff?
Yeah. So what we did was, again, to try to, I guess, do something unique and stand out from the noise, was we integrated ClickBank sales into our back end. So essentially what happens is we take your ClickBank ID and we create an affiliate account on the back end, and we have a feature where we plug in your ClickBank ID. So when we pull any sales from our account, it says, you made 8 sales and you made 22 because you're a better salesman.
Yeah, of course.
So,
The stats don't lie. Yeah.
Taller, better at sales. Damn it.
taller. We pull that ID, right? That ClickBank
Gotcha.
ID.
Okay.
Well, then we look in our database. Oh, Thomas has this ID in his account. So now that customer information is going under our CRM, right? So again, when they now buy a month
You're
later,
kind of dynamically building an account on your email track, or your
from the
affiliate tracking
ClickBank
system.
sales.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Okay.
And since we have to pull shipping information anyways, well, we're just going to pull that information also, and it's going to be into your account. So that way, when someone says, "Oh, I bought Leptosense," and then because I start sending them newsletters and content, they're like, "Oh, I really like that VG6," or "Man, that Omega Icon, I do need to lower my cholesterol," and they're like, "I'm going to buy that product now or another product." You're getting commissions for it every time.
Gotcha.
You know.
So I'll be getting paid from ClickBank, and that maybe some
And the
recurring
back
too that's
end
there,
stuff
and
is going to
potentially
start
from
building from the
them
JLab Pro
getting
back end side.
commissions from you. Because what's your how when you're doing your lifetime model there, are you paying a net 30, a net 14? What's kind of your payment model when you're
It's
running
usually
affiliates?
30 to 60 with refunds, but we're working on a system now to where we can almost balance out. So if someone does refund at day 45, it's going to kind of go into your running total, so to speak, as a minus, $14 or 20, whatever the commission was. And then just that way we can then pay more frequently and not have to say,
Not wait for all of this to settle. Yeah. That
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yep.
Yeah, that's kind of how we do it. Yeah, we just pull from the reserve that we're holding.
Kind of, yeah, pretty much that's what it's like. Yep. Mhm.
Okay.
No, so that's amazing. We'll actually make sure to include tool pages and for the offers that you guys have on the show notes. So anyone's in here is like, man, I want to take advantage of this. I not only want to get a hold of Jay or Jason. I know I said Jay because
A lot of people call me Jay.
I just yeah,
Dr. J.
That's the nickname.
Dr. J.
yeah, Dr. J. There you go.
J-A-Y,
If you could
though,
dunk like
not
that
just
too.
J.
Yeah.
It has to be
That
J-A-Y.
means you only have trademark and fridge. Yeah.
It just means you can't dunk as cool.
That is
all
true.
it is.
This is that height thing again.
Damn.
Back to the height.
But no, so we'll definitely, so that people could take advantage of it because there's some great front end offers as well. So you could either do the front end, there's also the back end, lots of different options. Just make a lot more money than you do with normal promotions.
Well, and a lot of people that don't know, is my list big enough to do this list splintering or duplication, all that? You could start with 3,000 people. And in this format, and essentially you're doing a form of list splintering.
Yep.
Right? Yes, a managed list broker is probably not going to be interested in your 3,000. They want 30,000 or 300,000, but it's a way for those people to, again, start building that foundation now.
Yeah.
Right? Instead of saying, oh, I guess I got to wait till I get to 20,000 people, or you can do it with 500 if you wanted. Right?
Yeah.
And it's just going to start slowly growing
Yeah, for sure.
at that point.
So with that though, I think one thing too, just to talk about, because I think, this model is very exciting. I think it's really well positioned right now, which actually results in something pretty exciting that recently, like yesterday, happened for you.
12
So,
hours ago.
So I don't want to steal your thunder on that. So why don't you talk a little bit about some things that are going on with the business right now that I think could be incredibly exciting.
Yeah.
For you and a lot of people.
We are partnering with iRally Marketing, and from an equity standpoint, so Mike, Ed, myself, we're taking their marketing prowess and their, ability to convert and create copy and whatnot, and then all of my systems and assets on the back end, and we're combining forces.
It's exciting
really
stuff.
cool.
It's
Cheers
exciting.
to that.
Yeah, cheers for sure.
It might disrupt the industry a little.
That's where that height comes in again. If only had normal sized arms. Definitely disruption. I think, again, we talked a lot about it's a different form of back end. It's a different type of offer, but one that's built for a sustainable business.
Correct.
We're looking at sustainable business. By pairing with Mike and Ed, to me, it's just putting, I guess I'm not a car guy, but whatever the supercharger,
Supercharger,
turbocharger. There you go, super turbocharger. A flux capacitor.
Yeah, so that's what it was.
That's where I need to be.
We had to get to 88 miles an hour or 77 or whatever it was.
So, but like really just latching that on. So it's like even better conversions on the front end, even better acquisition, but now still that amazing back end.
Well, and what we're seeing also is, again, this up and down in the industry, right? From conversion and whatnot, of we need to try to stabilize from my end as well as their end. And we're taking our, their assets and my assets and our intelligence to kind of really stabilize our position. With that.
Yeah, because in times it's always volatile. It's extra volatile right now, and doing that together seems to make so much sense to create stability.
I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm really excited too. I think it's going to be an awesome thing for all three of you, and honestly for the whole industry. In fact, I would encourage all listeners out there, like, this would be a great time to start finding stability in your business, not necessarily through a new tool or a new this, but it might be an entirely different partnership.
Well, and here's the thing, right? They're great at front-end optimization and driving all that traffic and whatnot. So I already have all these offers. We get all that optimized for affiliates. I also have that back end for them.
Yeah.
So again, it's not just us three that are going to benefit. It's affiliates that when we get these offers really hopping, everyone's gonna make more money.
Yeah, it's gonna be amazing.
Rising tide, yeah.
So get excited.
Exactly.
Get some Blantons if you could find it, and get ready for
This bottle's
I
off
Really
limits.
JLab.
Exactly.
Well, awesome. I really appreciate your time. This was fantastic.
Yes.
We obviously had a nice drink, had a great conversation, learned a ton. And again, for all those out there that are really interested, and I think I don't want to say like better, but just a different way of commissions, a different way to make money in their business, one that I think could really increase their health.
Yeah.
A real holistic approach to have diversification.
That's a good word
in
for
your
it.
model, right? So really, really encourage you to look at the links that we're going to put in the description, get in contact with Jayson, try some of these offers out. They're going to work. Even if it's not for you day one, it's going to keep coming, right?
Well,
there's going to be more.
We have so many ideas, and I mean, again, we can do free trials. We can do buy one, get one, buy one, get three. Like, there's so many different ways, and that's what we've done over the years, is really been flexible in creating solutions for whoever that offer owner was, to meet their customer where they're at, versus trying to get them to come to us. We'll go to them and give them something that they're looking for.
Well, and it's so great because you have that. What you're really looking for the back end is high quality trust from the get go, because you know the repurchase is where you win, right? And that's the same thing I think when you're working with partners. This is a plan where the repurchase is the win, not just the initial.
Correct.
So it's a little bit different, but like I said, it's a great diversification strategy that you should invite in your business more often. I think everyone listening, please try it, give it a shot, and we'll make sure, like I said, to give you the tools and links in the description to go out and test it out.
Yeah, awesome.
You're about to say something, Thomas, before we sign off, or is it just maybe not?
You lose it.
I lost it.
Okay, I even saw your mouth like open with words hoping to come out. But all right, well, if we'll wait until the end of the episode for Thomas to remember what it was.
Yeah,
and,
we'll put it in the show notes.
Yeah, we'll put it in the show notes. Thomas's comments. Yeah. Well, again, it was great having you. Hope you enjoy the rest of your time in Boise, and we're gonna have some fun tonight too with some dinner and networking. Yep. For all those out there, though, again, we really appreciate you. Please rate, review, subscribe. Also, tell us who else you'd like us to talk to. What other questions or conversations you'd like us to have. We generally do listen, and we shape that for what we do in the future outside some crazy stuff Thomas wants to talk about. But we have to appease him every now and again. So
Pot calling for the black a little bit.
but if I blame you, I'll never have to look at me.
Exactly. You're prefacing it already.
Exactly. But with that, until next time, be safe out there. Enjoy it. And what do we tell the people, Thomas?
Happy scaling.
Boom.
Yeah.
I didn't fit away. Yeah.